And welcome to yet another edition of Sports Talk. It's Saturday, September 2022. I'm Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I give you my opening remarks and tell you what's coming up in the show, I'd like to remind you the different ways that you can listen. I've been telling you, download the app from day one. So if you don't do that yet, do it right now. Go in your Google Play or Apple Store on whatever smart device you're using and download the Love 101 FM app, Google Play, Apple Store, any smart device. You can be on the go. You can listen anywhere, anytime. And plus, when the show is over, you can go back and listen to it. Or if you miss it completely, you can go back and listen to it. So download the app. May I beg you? All right. You can also go in your internet browser, love101.org, listen live there. Or you can go on YouTube and Facebook and see what's going on. And then you can also watch it back or recommend it or share it with a friend. All right. And as you know, the traditional way, Love 101.1 all the way to 101.9 on your radio on the FM band, depending on where you are in the country. So thank you to everyone who tunes in, week out. If this is your first time listening or watching, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. So today's show is going to be a little different. As you know, Jamaica is currently being affected by adverse weather, the storm, tropical depression, whatever one want to call it. I'm no weatherman. I was going to use the fancy word, but it slipped out of my brain. Hold on, give me 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Meteorologist. See, I tell you, I would have figured it out. And people might be listening right now and be saying, "Is that a big word for you?" No. But as you know, Jamaica is being impacted by it, and it has also made the show a little difficult to plan. So as you know, I try to be honest with you guys as possible. So a lot of guests that I would probably call or, not usually call, but have interest in interviewing and so forth. Everybody's sort of affected and, doing some things last minute, making last minute calls and everything, it also was impacted by the weather and everything. So it's been difficult preparing, and so I want to be honest with you guys. I'm not trying to lie to you or anything like that, but it's been difficult, and especially because we're all humans, even though sports is entertaining and this is a sports show, we still get impacted by regular things, even myself. So I have to stack up, I have to prepare, ensure that my window not leaking or anything like that. So it's not going to be your normal show today. But we want to keep it as light as possible. And when I say as light as possible, and I know that it might be difficult today because of the weather and everything. So I want you guys to laugh, to enjoy, despite everything that's going on. All right. So one way that we're going to do that is it's my mother's birthday weekend. So happy birthday, mommy. I could go on and on about my love for my mother, but happy birthday, mommy. Hope that you had a fantastic day. It was on Friday, but it is her birthday weekend. And as Black people, we tend to celebrate birthdays on several days. We either do it in advance or we do it afterwards. So it's not just birthdays, birthday weekend or pre-birthday or post-birthday, as how Black people work, right? So in honor of that, remember my mother hosted the show with me on Mother's Day in May. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear a repeat of the interview that we did with Marva Bernard, one of Jamaica's best sporting administrators, outgoing America's Federation of Netball Association. I think I said that properly. AFNA president. She's the outgoing AFNA president, former Netball Jamaica president. It was one of the best interviews according to Uno Sound. I love it, and got a whole bunch of messages. So it was really nice. So I'm going to hear that very shortly. And then Roger Federer, Swiss superstar, who has announced his retirement. Well, he's officially retired because he played his final game yesterday. Very sad to watch. Somebody who I grew up watching and, you know, impacted my love for tennis. We'll hear from him about, you know, his retirement, his rivalry with Rafael Nadal, turn friendship, his plans for the future and everything. So we'll hear that. So the show will be great nonetheless. We're going to keep it fun and light so that, you know, if you're experiencing rain wherever you are or any difficult time, I'm hoping that you listen and enjoy. All right. So we're going to go into my monologue very shortly. But before that, we will do the sports bits, which is, as you know, a mini sports report. I'm not going to take the whole day, just some important sporting points that you need to know. So since we're talking about the weather and everything, high school sporting body ISA, high school sports governing body ISA, pardon me, postponed all schoolboy football games scheduled for today due to the adverse weather affecting the island. Though several games went ahead on Friday with minimal to little showers, the increased rainfall today and flash flood warnings led to the postponement of over 30 Manning and Da Costa Cup games combined. It remains to be seen whether Monday's games will take place. Now, the Reggae Boys and the technical staff should be in the United States right now as they prepare for their international friendly against Argentina on Tuesday at the Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. It will be the first game with new head coach Heimer Hallgrimsson in charge. The 23-man squad features several overseas-based players, including West Ham striker Mikel Antonio, Aston Villa winger Leon Bailey, and Fulham winger Bobby Reid. Forward Shamar Nicholson and midfielder Daniel Johnson earned recalls after missing out on the last set of World Cup qualifiers and friendlies. Meanwhile, Argentina will name a strong team as they prepare for the World Cup in Qatar, as they'll be led by superstar Lionel Messi. The match kicks off at 7 p.m. Jamaica time. Now, Olympic gold medalist Brianna Williams will be training in Jamaica for the new track and field season after parting ways with longtime head coach Atto Boldon. The 20-year-old will join Titans International Track Club under the guidance of Gregory Little and Michael Frater, who also coached top men sprinters Johan Blake and Akeem Blake. Under Boldon, Williams recently won the silver medal in the women's sprint relays at the World Championships, won gold in the 4x1 relay at the Tokyo Olympics, claimed the sprint double at the World Under-20 and Pan American Championships between 2018 and 2019, and also clocked several national junior records. So I can't wait to see what Brianna does in 2023. Now, Sunshine Girls head coach Connie Francis said she was satisfied with the team's performance despite losing both of their games against home team New Zealand in the Tiny Jamieson Trophy earlier this week. The Jamaicans, who rested most of their stars for the series, only used seven players for both games, as 5 players did not receive US visas to make the trip. Coach Francis, who retired 20 years ago, her former teammate Carla Borrego, along with former Sunshine Girl Romelda Aiken, who gave birth just over a month ago, suited up to complete the roster in order to confirm test match status for the game. Obviously, those 3 did not play, but as mentioned, they needed to suit up for the roster to make sure that the test status was confirmed. So despite conceding 150 goals and scoring just 80 goals across the 2 games, Francis believed the 7 players did well and will continue to grow over the next few months. The series, which was supposed to be 3 games, was reduced to 2 because of the problems associated with travel to New Zealand. World Netball CEO Claire Bregel confirmed that the series would be investigated despite insisting that the series continued as scheduled. And finally, the Jamaica Talawas must win their final group match against the St. Lucia Kings on Sunday if they are to advance to the final four of the Caribbean Premier League playoffs. The Talawas lost by 12 runs to the Guyana Amazon Warriors on Wednesday. Now, this evening's game with the Amazon Warriors and Trinbago Knight Riders, who are both on 7 points, the winner of the match will overtake the Talawas, who have 8 points. So a whole bunch of connecting stuff that will have to happen. I wish I could explain the entire breakdown for us so I could see if the Talawas would go through and all of them things, but we don't have time. But if you go on the internet and research, you'll find it, right? But the Talawas play the Kings at 9 a.m. Jamaica time on Sunday, so it's essentially a must win for them. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll report on it next week. By next week, we'll have the final and it will be done anyway. So we'll talk about the entire season next week. So that is the sports bits for this week. And it's now time for my monologue, the Danialogue.
This is David Blake.
This is Hope Blake.
I am Ariel Ron Blake.
I'm here to tell you right now.
It's time for the Danialogue.
The Danialogue.
The Danialogue.
I love it. Presented by no one.
So last week, I kind of made mention of it, but just very briefly. In the same sports bits, I read that Roger Federer would be retiring. And I made a comment that a lot of the stars that I grew up with are retiring. And thinking about it, Roger Federer, Serena Williams retired, Usain Bolt retired, Kobe retired, and unfortunately passed away. Still miss Kobe. A lot of the football stars, including one of my favorite players of all time, Thierry Henry, who is one of the reasons why I support Arsenal as well. He retired. I didn't take that well. I remember when David Beckham retired, it felt surreal because I was just like, you grew up, with the bend it like Beckham. So for him to stop playing was crazy, and a whole bunch of stars retiring. In the next few years, Shelley and Fraser Price is going to retire. That's another thing. We've seen Alison Felix retire. And then we'll also see in the next few years, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo call it quits as well. And these are people, and LeBron James as well. And these are players who made us fall in love with the sport all over again. What they have achieved is absolutely amazing, right? And I saw a quote recently from former Brazil and Barcelona defender Dani Alves, who is one of the most successful footballers of all time. He recently came out and said that now that he doesn't play for Barcelona anymore, he can say that he loves Cristiano Ronaldo. So for those who don't know, or for those who are aware, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi have had a rivalry for such a long time, especially when Ronaldo moved to Spain and it was Real Madrid versus Barcelona, Ronaldo versus Messi. And if you are a Messi fan, it means that you never like Ronaldo. If you are a Ronaldo fan, it means that you never like Messi, or that type of thing, right? And Dani Alves came out recently and said that he loves Ronaldo. He is one of the best players ever. And I thought about it, and I was saying that a lot of people are being robbed of great sporting experiences, like the watching experience, because of these rivalries, right? Ronaldo and Messi are two fantastic players. What if people could just appreciate both of them for what they're doing? Yes, you might have a preference, but to try and tear down the other player is just like, why? Watching Roger Federer's last match yesterday, and he played doubles with Rafael Nadal, someone who he had a great rivalry with, one of the greatest rivalries in sports. And Nadal was crying that Federer was retiring. And I was just like, wow. And imagine appreciating both, not just saying, oh, Nadal is a clay court champion alone and can't do it anywhere else. Or Federer, he's only good on grass or blah. What if you're able to appreciate both? It's the same, even though this might be a little unpopular, but the Bolt and Gatlin argument, I know that Gatlin went through his various, drug bans and whatever, but in the times where he was clean and he was competing with Bolt, like, those years were amazing, but people wanted to pit them against each other and choose one over the other rather than appreciating both of their greatness. Same with the whole Michael Jordan LeBron comparison, and I could go on and on. But my point is, for those who do, I would advise you to like take a step back and realize that you're witnessing greatness. Forget about the rivalry. Like, appreciate greatness. And the more we see these stars like stop playing, you're going to realize, like, geez, I wish I had appreciated Federer more, or I wish I had appreciated Ronaldo more, Messi more, or LeBron more. Instead of trying to tear them down because you prefer another player, you prefer another team, like, just enjoy, because you won't see these athletes ever again. Trust me. These are some spectacular athletes, and we should appreciate greatness, So enjoy the sports experience by enjoying those who make the sports an experience. That sounds deep, right? Let me write that down in case I decide to write a book or something. All right, that is my monologue for this week. We go into a break, and when we come back, you'll hear from my lovely mother and Marva Bernard. So stay with us.
You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Seniors, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is advising that the social pension payment for September 2022 is now ready for collection and includes a one-time bonus of $10,000 under the Government Special Economic Relief Program. Check your text messages to confirm your payment arrangements. For further information, call 876-922-8007 or check the Ministry's website, www.mlss.gov.jm. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
For 50 years, Under the Law has been helping you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. And we continue to do this in 2022. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law at 6:20 a.m., 2:35, 6:45, and at 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
News Review. Join me, Clyde Edwards, for News Review, a 10-minute program of news about the church from around the world for listeners to this station with particular interest in missions and missions-focused news. That's News Review, heard every Sunday evening at 7 o'clock on Love 101.
To Sports Talk here on Love 101. It is a bit different, as I mentioned at the start, because of the weather that's affecting the country right now. But we're still going to try and have fun. We're still going to try and keep it as light as possible. And doing so, one of the lightest persons I know, huge clown, extremely funny, my mother. Her birthday was yesterday. and it just brought back memories of the show that we did on Mother's Day back in May, and the conversation that we had with outgoing AFNA president and former Netball Jamaica president Marva Bernard. And I felt like this was a good time to play it again, you know? So let's do that then. So Marva Bernard, outgoing president of the Americas Federation Netball Association. I think I'm saying that wrong, you know, but no, I'm saying it right. I have confidence. Yeah. And former Netball Jamaica president. We spoke to her about, you know, her achievement throughout her career and being a mother to several netballers, because what she has done for local netballers has been absolutely outstanding. So without further ado, let's get into that interview again.
All right. Well, Marva, it's a great honor for me to be able to interview you. I was telling him earlier, as he mentioned, that I also know of you in another life, in an executive agency where you did such marvelous work in that position of accountant. Yes. So I remember all of that.
Can you imagine?
Long time ago.
Yes,
right.
yes.
But getting into the interview though, before we ask you about your mother role in Netball Jamaica, as Daniel said earlier, we know that it is your last year as president of the Americas Federation of Netball Association. Are you satisfied with what you've accomplished during your tenure?
No, I'm not. But you can never be satisfied when there's so much to do, right?
Yeah.
But I am pleased with what we were able to do during the pandemic. Because the pandemic came, we had great plans for our Umpires Academy. I have a real serious concern with how we do not have enough umpires in this region. I think it's easier for an elephant to get through the eye of a needle than to become an international umpire in this Americas region. We wanted to have an academy during the qualifiers that were going to be held in Trinidad and Tobago, and the pandemic came, and that put a pay to it. Then I think we were going to do it for the youth championship, and that, you know how that went. So we began to do some training. In the theoretical aspect of umpiring, so that kind of eased the disappointment. We were able to train some people in Argentina. We had a lady who, one of our tutors, one of our members spoke fluent Spanish, and she was an umpire's teacher, so we did that. But what was near and dear to our hearts was the fact that we were able to do some governance webinars to improve and to identify and equip, upskill future leaders for the sport. So that in itself kind of gave us a little satisfaction. Here in 2020, we did marketing with Carol Beckford, and that was just really good. We had AFNA Day, and we had about 100 people interested in, and they came on board. Last year was even more special because we partnered with the University of the West Indies Faculty of Sport, Dr. Mansingh Hippie Pure, and he put us on to Kerwin John from the faculty, and we did make a difference in terms of preparing the people the young leaders, future leaders, teaching them how to do business plans, teaching them how to do strategic plans, teaching them the importance of fiduciary reporting and transparency in the accounting of their books, and accounting in a crisis. And we had the pandemic crisis, we had a volcano in St. Vincent. So that webinar, about 70 persons got certificates. This is a certificate course. So we're also able to do some coaching programs, level 1 and level 2. So all in all, although we didn't get to play any championships during those 2 years, we certainly spent the time providing knowledge. And this year, our last 2 things we're going to do this year. It's a high performance course. It's going to start in August, teaching them how to establish systems and procedures within their organization so that they can get better results on court. We're going to do that in August. We're running another coaching course starting in May this month, and we are going to do teaching people how to score in our book, score our matches. So we do have a full plate between now and October.
Sounds that way. Right. How demanding was the role in comparison to being Netball Jamaica president?
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot with this. I'm going to say demanding, but there was a difference with Netball Jamaica. I grew up in terms of the number of years that I, started in managing Netball Jamaica, and when the going got tough for you in Netball Jamaica, there were always the girls. There was, in the end, there was also the netball house that was our home.
Yeah.
So you could go there with them. They would be there. It was like the hub of activity. So when the going got tough, and we also, when at the end of a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would go and sit on the stands and watch them train. And I tell people all the time, that was like, when you have an old time clock and you wind it up, maybe Daniel don't know about those kind of clocks, right? He only know about what you call that kind of clock now, the one that don't tick. I did buy in Hong Kong, I did buy a watch in Hong Kong and carry it back and tell him it's not working because it's not ticking. So when you go to the stadium courts, right, on a Friday evening, and you sit down there and the tension just I tell the tension floats up to Beverly Hills. You just don't. So this is the difference between the challenges of the region, which was different because you don't know the people that well, but you know the people, the girls in Netball Jamaica, the clubs, you actually know them. So no matter how the going gets tough, my stress relief was always going to the stadium and sit down and watch them train.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
All right, so you talk about the difference, and you've been doing this for a very long time. So after your tenure this year ends, are you going to continue being a sports administrator in any form? You're going to try and, maybe find a different association, maybe go back and try something with Netball Jamaica, or you just
No. Daniel, look here. Okay, look here, Daniel. Look here. You're leaving me you're leaving me speechless with these questions. Okay.
So sorry.
You're not sorry. When October comes, on the 21st of October, I demit office as president of the Americas region. Good. I have until July 2023 at the World Cup in South Africa, God spare my life, to finish my term as a director of the World Netball Board. I think my husband wants me back. He wants his wife back. It's been a long time. No, I will not go back to Netball Jamaica. Term limits, right? There's a thing called term limits. And I
You wouldn't be like a secretary or anything like that?
You have to invite me, and the answer is I have not been invited to do it. But I'm helping them with the championship now. But no, they have their people in place now, and that's good. So what I promised my principal that I may come back down every now and then and give some sort of succor to the young Eagles. The Netball Eagles.
Excelsior.
But no. The answer is no. Yeah, whenever help is needed at a one-off thing, I would. But
so you
need to move forward.
So you're just gonna give your husband some time now.
Lord, a whole heap. Better say a whole heap. Yeah. I'm telling you something. I will always be, if I'm asked to help, I don't have no in my vocabulary. And I do believe that knowledge shared is empowering, and it's good for me. If people ask me to help them to do something, I willingly do if I have the time. But I'm not going back into a fixed position where it is my responsibility to have it done. But if I'm asked to assist with a project or with something, I will within the confines of my time. But nothing full time again. I need people. Let me tell you, Daniel, I firmly that when you get to my age and experience, you have to share your knowledge and give people like you, the young people, they need to see the pathway to leadership. And I believe that sport is a business, and a lot of the businesses do not have CEOs that are equipped to run that business efficiently. And so people don't ask for help. I find a lot. I'm always asking for help because I don't know everything. So you will find that in my journey in netball, and certainly as president, I had a whole raft of people who I could call upon for help, and they came to help me because I didn't have everything I needed to look after those girls who I believe were placed in my life by the good Lord above, not only to make me hair white, but for me, if you don't love them, you cannot lead them. And I realized very early in the day that I fell in love with a bunch of girls coming through the ranks, and what I did was what mommy would have done for you, because I do believe that poor people's children that play netball deserve the same kind of love, care, and attention that middle class and upper class people's children get. So when I had the netball house, and thank God for courts and people like Janet Sylvester, and I can't remember his name now. I know I will. The fix of that house, and cable people, right? She will forgive me for her name, forget right now. I made sure they had every single thing in that house. So when I left and came home, they would have the same creature comforts that I would have in my house, because my house couldn't hold all of them if the cable break down, you know. And Mrs. Darby gave us cable for about 2-3 years straight, so that they would be comfortable when they got in there. Everything was in there, and those were the things that made my adrenaline flow during the time that I was there with them. The house was HGTV, beautiful. That's what we call it. There was Elsie Shaw, who is still there, and both of us cared for that home. And my husband, if a light bulb wanted to be changed in that house, Elsie don't call me, you know, Mr. Bernard, because you know, every house needs a man to make sure everything is working, that you look after the aesthetics, but they took care of the plumbing and the light. That was my husband. So it was and he fell in love with the girls, and that made that journey easier.
Hold on, you have to specify the fell in love with the girls, you know, Mr. Bernard. You have to be careful with the fell in love with the girls, because I'm sure he's only in love with you, right?
Look here, when they talk to me these days, you know, no matter whether them calling from Australia or in, how is Mr. Bernard? Give Mr. Bernard his love. Sometimes I say to myself, hi, but I understand he's been with me and them all these years. They never call me and hang up the phone without asking, how is he? Because everything to do with that house, he was the man of the house. So there's a love and an appreciation. I felt like old Mother Hubbard. You know old Mother Hubbard, Daniel? You know anything about old Mother Hubbard and our cupboard?
No, I'm a 90s baby. Sorry. My hair not so white as yours.
But you know, let me tell you something, Hopi.
Yes.
Many years before, the Honorable Bruce Golding gave us that house. I used to jokingly say I had a dream for a big circular house. Because before we got that home, we would have to pay to stay in a hotel, and Alhambra was very kind to us, right? And I always said, I want a big circular house. I don't want them on the same floor with me. So it had to have 2 floors, right? And then I would want a cord with each girl's name on it. So if I wanted Simone or I wanted Sasha, I would pull the cord for that person. They would come down to me. But God gave me a different kind of house. And, each person had their own space. I knew where Melissa's bed was. Janelle and Romelda's bed was upstairs. The 21s were in. This is those. So you asked me about the difference between the 2 roles. You could see where the stress release came from with Jamaica, as it wasn't there in the region. But anyway, making a difference is what I try to do. The team that is in place with me. Making a difference is mad, right? MAD.
That's right. That's right.
You can mad in trying to make a difference. You can mad you too. Okay.
Right.
But anyway.
I think you've started answering this question, but I'll still go ahead and ask because I know that you don't have any of your own, but you have definitely been a mother to hundreds, if not thousands of netballers. What made you develop? What made you develop that type of bond? Because usually presidents tend to see their role as an employer-employee role, but you were a mother to these girls. Tell us a little more about that.
Very early in the day, Mr. Birchall Whiteman said to me, because it's not easy to manage a whole heap of young girls, right? Mm-hmm. Birchall Whiteman said to me, because sometimes I got frustrated sometimes early on, And Mr. Whiteman said, Marva, if you save one, you save a lot. And then they grow on you. They grow on your hope. Because a lot of them who are there now playing nationally were my babies. Significant number of them were my babies. We went on tour. My first tour with a team was in 1995 or 6. And those girls, some of them have graduated from the program. And we traveled together. We slept in the same bed. They wanted to sleep in my bed in a university dorm. So you can imagine they would set my hair and we would have that kind of camaraderie. And guess what? I am not the boss, I am a servant leader and I don't take that responsibility lightly. I am not the boss. The association is not mine. I am a servant leader. And when Hope sends Daniel with a LLE to my program, my responsibility is to ensure that Daniel is treated properly, carefully, and everything that you can do for Daniel or couldn't do, I would do within confines of my abilities. So they grow on you, and then they become your family. They leave the program, but they're still with you emotionally. And over the years, I found that if it was one slice of bread, real or figuratively, and was left, I don't eat it. They eat before. Soft skills, the difficulty with soft skills. Yep. So early in the day, Mrs. McDonald, Vilma McDonald, Carmen Clark, Vanda Levy McMillan, Molly Roan, when my time, we brought back the elders. We brought back the elders to teach the young ones how to dress, how to speak. You would never see, I don't know about now, but you would never see any national player arriving at the airport chewing gum. Anyway, ladies don't chew gum. My girls never chewed gum. And even to this day, I one of them would say, if Mrs. Bernard were here, I got Mrs. McDonald's chewing gum. No. Our ladies don't chew gum. When we are coming off the airplane, they have to comb their hair, purchased or grown. They have to be well groomed because the television camera, Daniel and Mr. Higgins are going to be out there. And everybody has to be uniformly dressed because image is everything. That's what my mother taught me. That's what Mrs. McDonald and Mrs. Rowan handed down to me with those ladies that I was to manage, and they were the president, and I did the same. We had Carmen Clark coming to both Excelsior and to the national program, teaching them dining etiquette. They learned so well that I was with a team coming home from the Com Games in 2014. And I dared to take up my bread to put sausage between there to make a sandwich. And I heard Shanice Beckford, the nerve of her, love her to death, saying, Miss B, I'm going to report you to Miss Carmen. I said, for what? For making a sandwich with the breakfast food. And I remembered my father and mother telling me at the dining table, you do not make sandwich with your food. So we brought back these, we prepared our ladies to go out into public dining rooms after Carmen was finished teaching Excelsior, the Excelsior netball team, how to dine in a restaurant and using knife and fork. I even brought in one of my waiters that worked for me when Brianna and I have a function, Alex, to plate the food. They had the Issa lunch after that, and they were comfortable. It wasn't perfect because, you know, we learned with children knife and fork. These children learn to eat with a fork only. So I'm saying to you, this is where my mother role came in. When the Sunshine Girls or the under 21s are leaving the home to represent Jamaica or Netball Jamaica, them have to be no mismatch, no kaba. It is image. The image is everything, because the first thing people look at is them, and they're going to say, "Is Miss Bernard?" Make them come out and look. When I'm coming off the plane on a tour, I'm groomed, I'm properly dressed, because those that are coming behind me, that Mr. Higgins' camera going to pick up, or the CVM TV camera, they have to be perfectly dressed, and the older ones know it, and they hand it down. Them asking permission if they could wrap their heads on the aircraft, wear a tie head on the aircraft, so that when I wake up, I don't see a red tie head. And I said, okay, because I understand the new hair thing, right? I said a dark color scarf only, because they are tall.
Yes.
People are going to see them going through the aisle, and they are a Sunshine Girl. They represent Jamaica, and they represent me. So
Yes.
I was very strong. And guess what? They mightn't like it in the beginning, but when Shanice told me, Miss, Vanji is in the waiting room to do an interview. She'll have to do as Miss Carmen says and keep her knees together with a coin, because her skirt is very short. Because Miss Carmen said, so you bring in all these people. You bring in all these people to help to groom, and we groom them with love. Because we leave them with their dignity. We groom them with love.
Marva Bernard ending with a powerful and positive message. So thank you to her again, even though it kind of stale, but still fresh because of the views that can go on and on. You know, those views are very relevant. It can't stale. So even though the interview is stale, the message is ever relevant. You get me? And also thank you to my mother, and happy birthday again, mommy. All right, we head into our final break, and when we come back, we will hear from the now retired Swiss superstar Roger Federer. Stay with us.
It is 1:45 on the family station at Love 101.
Here's an invitation for churches and community organizations. If you're hosting an event which offers free admission, tell us about it, and we'll get the word out in Love FM's bulletin board. Simply email your information to bulletinboard@love101.org Love FM's bulletin board for church and community events with free admission and certain fundraising events. Conditions apply. Listen to Bulletin Board on Love 101 Saturdays at 4:55 p.m. Love FM's bulletin board is on your family station, Love 101.
Tip Friendly Society will be hosting their 25th annual church service on Sunday, September 25 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Mandeville Parish Church under the theme Re-Imaging Our Society for Sustainable Development. The speaker will be Reverend Mike Elliott. Listen for a recording of highlights from the service at 5 p.m. right here on Love 101. That's the 25th annual church service of Tip Friendly Society this Sunday, September 25, and it will be on the family station, Love 101.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
This is Hurricane Alert, a bulletin of hurricane preparedness tips presented by Love 101 FM.
Meet with your insurance agent or broker and go over your policies and coverage to avoid misunderstanding. Make sure your property is properly valued and insured for its true value. If your property is undervalued at the time of a hurricane, you will end up with less money for repairs than you may have expected.
You've just heard Hurricane Alert, a bulletin of hurricane preparedness tips. Keep listening to Love 101 FM for more helpful tips when next we present Hurricane Alert.
Back to Sports Talk here on Love 101. Roger Federer waved goodbye to professional tennis after teaming up with fellow great Rafael Nadal on an emotional night at the Laver Cup in London, England. The 41-year-old received a long ovation after walking off the court for the final time before retiring as a professional. Unfortunately, it was on a losing note, losing to Jack Sock and Francis Tiafoe, the American pair, 4-6, 7-6, 11-9 at the O2 Arena. Federer and Nadal, who were for so long rivals, coming together for Federer's final game. It was so beautiful to watch, and yeah, never gonna see that again. It's very sad. Federer, remember, won 20 Grand Slam titles and is regarded as the GOAT. That's a conversation that we can have another time. So Federer this week spoke about stepping away from the sport, some of his achievements, his relationship now with Rafael Nadal, if he plans to stay in tennis, and just his overall career. So Federer there, 20-time singles Grand Slam champion. We won't see him on the court competitively ever again. So I don't know if I'm going to see this, but Roger, thank you, because you are one of the reasons why I and many others love the sport of tennis. So losing Federer and Serena in the same year, boy, that rough. That really rough. So that's the end of the show for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope wherever you are in Jamaica, that you are safe, and even around the Caribbean, because I know that it has affected other countries and may affect other countries very soon. So please stay safe. For those in Jamaica, if you know, so on the live in flood-prone areas and those things, please find your way to the nearest shelter. Don't make ego and pride stop you. I know say at your house and you know want to lose your things then, but I don't want to watch news on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday and hear say people dead in them house or anything like that because of the flooding. All right, so please take all the necessary precautions possible, and just stay safe. All right, so thank you again so much for listening, and for those who watched as well. Next week we'll be back, and hopefully everything will be back to normal, so that we'll have such a great show. But until then, I'm Daniel Blake. Thank you again for listening and watching, and see you next week.